Here's the RAS. So it is a 10.00. His size, 6'5", 267. That scored him a good composite size grade. His explosion grade, elite. A 40-inch vertical.
That's a lot.
At 267 pounds, 6'5". Broad jump of 10.11. That scored a 9.96. And then his composite speed grade, he didn't do the agility testing to the best of my knowledge, but composite speed grade was elite. 40-yard dash, 4.59, 40. And then a 20-yard split of 2.66, 10-yard split of 1.58. So the strength in his 40-yard dash is, if you had to pick one, would be the 10-yard split to the top end speed. The 20-yard split was the weakest part of it, scoring a 9.55. But still, it's just a fraction off there. So he's a freak. He's a physical freak, man. So I give it a 10, a freaking 10.
Billy Bob.
I see what you did. We need that sound bite. Let me put that down. We got to get
Got to get that one. That's important. Again, this just seems. I think Jake said it earlier. That's like this. Of course, he's meeting with the Packers. The guy's got a 10 RAS. He's 6'6", like 300 pounds. Of course, he's meeting with them. But I don't. I hear Jake really just literally right here. So I remember the first description I heard about Shamar Stewart back in the fall. I immediately said he's a Goody guy.
So true, man.
Yeah. So, again, I just don't want to have a ball of clay that's in theory a freak. I mean, clearly he has an RAS of 10. He's an athletic freak, but I want a football player. That's what I want.
Yeah. That's very well said, man. Very well said. So Shamar Stewart, again, to the best of my knowledge, the very first top 30 visit the Packers have taken or had in this year. So let's move on to some other news that was shared here from our buddy Justin M_NFL over on X. Just getting some more information out to us of guys that the Packers may be interested in. He said Gerald Tank is the nickname. Christian Lichtenhan, does that look right? Lichtenhan. Hey, make me want to drink a beer there. Is among my favorite underrated offensive tackles in the 2025 NFL draft. 36-inch arms on him. It says Shrine Bowl standout, garnered interest from 49ers, Packers, Jets, Bills, Colts, and Eagles. So just someone else who's kind of on the radar here a little bit you want to keep an eye on. I'm trying to think of where we had him on our board. I'll look at that real quick. You got anything on him at all, Jacob? Or
no, I can't find him anywhere right now.
We've got him
Draft Buzz, which usually
we've got him fairly low on our board. I've got him in the 255 spot, it looks like. The Packers obviously met with him. PFF 22 grade he was 430th at his position. He jumped to 323 in 2023. Say that 3 times fast. And then in 2024, he jumped all the way to 20th highest grade at his position. So a pretty solid year, evidently, in 2024. Now, the PFF Big Board had him 268 at the end of the year. And Consensus Big Board had him at 230. He's not on any of the other lists. Did not have an RAS for him yet as well. So just a player to kind of keep an eye on there. Again, that our buddy Justin M had put out on it. So go ahead. What you got, man?
No, I found him on PFF. Pass blocking grade at 86.4, gap grade of 70.7, zone grade of 77.4. Now, obviously, Oregon State. I mean, he graded out real well from a game-to-game basis. Worst game he ever had was against Air Force of a 58.6, but really did well. Pure left tackle. Played all 3 seasons at left tackle. The last 2 years, over 800 snaps each. Did not grade out very well up until this last year, so that might be an issue there. PFF has him ranked at 0 inches tall. He's 329, and they don't know his age, so he's clearly a little bit of a more unknown prospect there.
All right, let's see here. Mike Hebring just said President/CEO Mark Murphy and NFL officials suggest a desire to
I think it's leverage the iconic stadium.
All right, leverage the iconic stadium fully with comments indicating excitement about showcasing Lambeau Field prominently. So did he say that about opening the bowl, or are they just throwing the idea around? Or wish Tim was here. Tim would know. Tim's got the load. Tim would go over and knock on the door. Hey, Mark, what the hell y'all planning on doing over there, bro? What's going on here? So, man, again, it sounds too good to be true, but hopefully it happens. All right, so we got another.
Fred real quick says Tank is cool, but Buckets is a far stronger name.
It really is, man. God, I love it. Another player the Packers met with, one of 3 teams to spend extensive time with Syracuse edge Fadil Diggs at his pro day. So he seems to be on the Packers' radar a touch. We put a little report together. Shout out to Easton Butler for sharing that information that the Packers showed interest in that. Just a little kind of composite on him. 6'5", 260 is strengths. He's got an explosive first step, strong hands, versatile, can play multiple defensive roles, high motor. 2024 stats, 14 tackles for a loss, 7.5 sacks, notable game-sealing sack versus UNLV in overtime. Athleticism, damn, Jacob, 4.57 40-yard dash, bro.
Jeez.
That's pretty wild. Now, weaknesses, it says needs refinement and technique, inconsistent against the run, struggles to finish tackles at times, play recognition can improve. Draft projection is day 3, rounds 4 through 6. NFL Outlook, potential rotational defender with development. What do you think about Fadil Diggs here? It looks like he's going to be somewhere there on day 3, I would imagine.
I mean, that sounds like my type of player. And if it's anywhere past the 5th or 6th, I totally would be willing to take a stab at him. Pass rush grade of an 83.2, run defense grade of a 65.7. Clearly didn't have as great of a season doing the run defense as he probably wished he did. True pass set rush grade is a 75.2 and a pass rush win rate of 15.1%. But then there's that glaring area there where it says the run stop rate is below optimal at 4.2%. But you talk about somebody, he's had fairly amount of success. Never had a double-digit sack season, but got close this last year with 8 sacks. Decent amount of hits. Honestly, I would have liked to see a little more production out of him, but you look at that size again. If you can mold the guy with his size into being a little more efficient with what he does, I think that's a great 6th or 7th round pick there.
You know who this kind of reminds me of, just on the surface, not from a comp standpoint, but just kind of the situation of being a day 3 with that kind of size, that kind of athleticism. Jake Shavink says Diggs has a 92nd percentile 10-yard split. And Fred McFarley said, let me translate that for you. That's meat missile traits right there, ladies and gentlemen. So it kind of feels like a JJ Enagbare, you know? JJ Enagbare had kind of those I don't want to say high level traits, but he was a very long dude. He's got the size, all that, and obviously had the explosiveness too to a certain extent. So that'd be interesting. Jake Shavink said, also fun fact, 2023 Texas A&M defense had Diggs, Nolan, and Stewart.
Wow.
How did they not go further, Jake? That's crazy. That's crazy. And they are paying them boys down there in Texas. They were paying them boys before they were allowed to pay them boys down there at Texas A&M. I'm just telling you right now. I listen to a lot of SEC talk down here, and boy, oh boy, they spill the beans. There's no doubt about it. So Fred McFarley says, reminds me of KGB, Clay. Yeah, kind of that physical freak, right? I remember KGB back in the day. It was a lot of fun to watch on the football field, no doubt. Let's see here. Andy Monday, which edge players are just pass rush only? I know those guys aren't top rushers, but who knows if we'll blitz more this year. KC blitzed a lot. Philly almost never. Which edge players are just pass rush only? I would venture to say the majority of them are, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Those edge defenders. So we got Emilio joining us now. Came in here late.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Thank you. What would you like to? Would you like to apologize to the class, Emilio?
I would definitely like to apologize. Sorry about that. First day of
Conor McGregor. I'd like to take this second to apologize to absolutely nobody. How was your day, man?
Good. First day of mowing, training and everything. So we a little slower, but got through the 14 yards and we're good, man.
Not bad. We did 10 today. And I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm gonna be doing 22 here pretty soon.
I'm thinking I need to be drinking more water already. It was only got up to 80 today, so
exactly. Hey, so we got the news that Shamar Stewart visited the Packers today, top 30 visit. We kind of talked about him a little earlier in the year. Obviously he's a physical freak. He's 13 on our board, but as Jacob pointed out, other people pointed out, man, is the PFF grades and the production are pretty low. It's just kind of that. Hate to say it, but another ball of clay. What would you think about them taking Shamar Stewart at 23?
I know we've been talking about it. I know Jacob's still looking for that kiln downstairs, and I don't know if we have one in Lambeau. We're still working on it, but it's dude, if he pays off, like if you pull the trigger and it pays off, we're the smartest people ever. And if it doesn't, why did you take another freak that didn't pan out?
Exactly.
But do I think that Goody would do it? Probably. I think he would pull the trigger on that.
We're going to get you a jersey made, and it's going to say the Glover Lover on the back of it. All right?
Glover, I barely even know her.
Hey, that was pretty good. I'm proud of you. Look at that. So you guys know we've been talking quarterback, right, a little bit, and that's going to drive this draft. Listening to Greg Cosell rave over Shuck earlier today out of Louisville.
Telling you, bro, four degrees.
Yeah. He said that Shuck is his QB2. When I could hear him talking him up, and I've listened to Greg Cosell for several years now, right? And I could hear him talking him up, and I'm waiting for the but. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but he's really good here. But he said, man, this is my QB2. I immediately thought he's got him over Shedeur Sanders. That's what that comes down to, right? He's got Cam Ward number 1. He says, elite level traits. Shedeur Sanders in the right system could be a great starting quarterback, right? But with Tyler Shuck, he was like, when you stand next to this kid and watch him throw the football and you turn on the tape especially, like this dude processes like almost elite. And he said today on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, he said, just to follow up on my Tyler Shuck comments, you could imagine had a lot of people reach out to me about it. He said people in the NFL reached out and said, yeah, when you stand next to this kid and watch him throw a football, you would understand. People would understand exactly what you're talking about. So, I mean, when you hear that kind of praise over a quarterback from Greg Cosell, I have a hard time believing he's not going to be a first-round pick. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off base here. I want to know what Jake Shavink thinks in the chat, too. Do you think Tyler Shuck – I think it is Tyler Shuck, right? I know his last name's Shuck.
Yeah, Shough.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I used to call him Shoe and Shao and everything else, so evidently it's Shuck. So what do you think about that? Do you think he's got a legit shot to be in the first round above Shedeur Sanders? That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. At that point, we could be talking about 4 going in the first, Clay. I mean, someone might take here you go, Coach Lynn right there, called it out. Thank you for the number. Milrow ran a 4.38.
We're getting to that next.
I mean, so talk about, what are you looking for as a team? You're looking for, someone that kind of ready to handle it. When you see Shuck throw it, maybe it's like you saw Rodgers out there the first time. He's a bigger body, can kind of spin it. The numbers are there for him. He had a PFF in 22, a 136. 23, we didn't have a grade. I'm not sure if that's an injury or not. We're going to have to look. 24, he was 21. PFF Big Board 177. What's bringing him down? Consensus had him at 308. But 33rd team had him in their top 100 at 91, and Dane Brugler had him at 59.
Yeah,
that's a guy that almost – I would almost guarantee him gone but by the third, no matter what, right? And I think someone's going to pull the trigger on him fast. First is a possibility, Clay.
Yeah, so the grade is 103.5 on our board, right? So let's say Daniel Jeremiah has him just outside the top 50. Let's say he's got him at 51, okay? Then he's going to jump to probably around 75th, something like that, would be his grade of 75, which would raise him up. That would take him from 136, right?
That'd bring him up into the 90s-ish on our board. He'd be about 115-ish.
Mm-hmm. So, again, we can't justify him being a first-round pick according to our board.
Right.
Well, when you hear Greg Cosell say that, I think he's 6'5".
Because we still haven't put that bonus in there. He'd get another -5. He'd be climbing into the top 100, I would think, if you get Greg Cosell's in there and DJ's on there. So,
Jacob, what do you think about Tyler Shuck, man? It was wild hearing Greg Cosell rave over him.
I mean, he's definitely somebody that 6'5", 225. He is one of the oldest prospects in the class and is it says an extensive injury history, but his size and arm talent are adequate enough to earn him a shot as an NFL backup. That's interesting because they look at his grades this last year. He's got an 87 passing grade, an intermediate grade of 92.1, a deep grade of 91.8, a no pressure grade of 91.6, and then the pressure grade is 62.6. So he hasn't had a single bad game. Worst game he had all season was against Clemson, which is probably understandable. He had a 64.6, which isn't complete booty cheeks. He's being trended to the quote unquote to the Pittsburgh Steelers, also Dallas, also New England. So I could see him going, Emilio, somewhere around that 3rd or 4th range. Another guy that's right below him, who is also 6'5", 223, but is a whole year younger, is Curtis Rourke out of Indiana. Yeah. Graded out rural well for most of his career. Do you guys see anything They're saying he projects like a backup, but with the potential to grow into a spot starter. And what do you guys have him on the board?
I'm gonna give Tyler Shuck a 5-point bonus on the Senior Bowl because Jake said he was QB1 during Senior Bowl week for sure. I think it was Prince in there too. Shuck got great reviews from the Senior Bowl, so we'll go ahead and give him a bonus there for that, just so we'll remember. Okay, he had a great Senior Bowl. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Emilio, answering this question?
I just needed that name again, Jacob. I'm sorry.
Curtis Rourke from Indiana.
Right. Curtis.
Almost graded out exactly like Shock, but with just about a year younger.
He was. Can I not find him? Okay, we got him at 124. Indiana. He was East-West Shrine. The dude graded out real well, pretty consistently. 2022 had him 3rd overall. PFF 23 had him 82nd, and 24 had him 18th. Big board again, kind of dinging him 143 for PFF, 231 for consensus. No other bonuses from DJ 33rd or Dane, but he's higher right now, already higher than Tyler Shuck. So that's it's something you just got to keep in mind. I think he'll kind of close in with the Greg Cosell bonuses, Shuck will, but there's as we coming in closer to it, it's tough. It's kind of wild to see how the quarterbacks are slowly climbing up. You're starting to hear a little bit more talk about it each
every
time.
year, man.
We had 6 go last year that we were like, all right, only 4 are going to go, maybe 5, 6, 7 go, whatever. We had 2 this year. Only 2 were guaranteed. We could be pushing 3, 4, 5 at this point.
Right.
The talk is going to happen.
Yeah. So again, man, it's why we say as soon as we start the draft process, there's 2 drafts every year, quarterback draft and the NFL draft. Because I'm telling you, man, these quarterbacks, all of a sudden you look up and go, I thought we only had 2 first-rounders. People will overpay. They will overreach.
We'll have to come up with a number, Clay, and I want to put them on a separate sheet and just do the quarterbacks up a rank, whatever we're going to give them. Just everybody gets that number to get them up a rank. I want to kind of see where that says.
Someone else who turned heads today. Now, listen, keep in mind, our board was already set. And you guys know, first of all, let me say this. Jackson Dart, it was like Greg Cosell was dipping his toe in the water like he wanted to say this dude's solid, but he kept pulling back a little bit. So he didn't get he's not going to get the Greg Cosell bonus, but he was definitely, I think he would have been like QB3 or QB4 probably, according to Greg Cosell, just kind of reading between the lines. But Jalen Milroe today helped himself. Now, you guys know we've got Milroe over Jackson Dart before the combine stuff or before the pro day stuff, right? We've got him in the 57 spot. We got Jackson Dart in the 73 spot. Well, today, obviously, Jalen Milroe turned heads. A 4.37 is what's mentioned here. I heard other people say 4.38. Someone else said 4.43. It's amazing how so many different numbers can get reported from quote-unquote professionals, but here we are. That blew me away. I thought he would run a 4.540. When they said 4.37, I went, whoa. So, again, one of those quarterbacks that going into the year was highly rated, and as the year went on, he definitely dropped. Like if you guys go to, I'm trying to think of what it's called. There's a Twitter handle that shows the trend of where people are mocking people, and Jalen Milroe has sank all year long to a 3rd-round pick. He started around a 1st-round pick at the end of the college or at the beginning of the college football season. So, what do you guys think? You think this is going to help Jalen Milroe, this 4.37? Do you think that GMs will still kind of hold off? Because again, I've got him on our board as QB3, I believe, right? Yeah, I've got him as QB3.
Yep.
So, what do you think?
I think that's totally a possibility. I think he has an elite skill, and it's speed and running. I mean, you can kind of teach, throwing technique if we need to shore that up or whatever, but that is hard to teach right there. I mean, you can't really teach that speed, and you can't teach that feel, when he's got the ball in his hands when he's running. I think someone's going to take a chance on him. It's going to be more than like the Malik Willis thing, right? Where he was supposed to go in the 1st round, drop to the 3rd. Right now they're saying, Milroe is supposed to go in the 3rd. I mean, 1st is looking more and more likely. It really is.
Yeah. Jacob, Tom Pelissero actually tweeted this out today as well. Former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe had dinner tonight in Tuscaloosa with Steelers coach Mike Tomlin. GM Omar Khan and quarterbacks coach Tom Arth ahead of his pro day per source. Pittsburgh, which continues to explore all options at the quarterback position, owns the number 21 pick in April's draft. So do you think Pittsburgh's eyeing him for 21, or do you think it's more of a, hey, second or third round, if he's there, we might pull the trigger there? What do you think, man?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't seem to quite fit what Mike Tomlin and his play style is, to just get some scrambling quarterback kind of guy. But Drew D in the chat says 4.37 is 40. 4.3740 is Lamar Jackson time, isn't it? Lamar Jackson had a 4.34. So that is pretty apt comparison there. I would argue that Lamar has a pretty underrated cannon. I do think he can throw that ball in there and probably has a little more technical skill at this point. But like Emilio said, I think that may be why that you got yourself the GM at the meeting and the quarterback's coach, Tom Arth, there, because he wants to see probably like, what can I get out of this guy? Is this a ball of clay that's just like he's talked about, Emilio, that's going to sit outside of the kiln and never get used, or is this something we can actually throw together and make ourselves a real nice piece of pottery?
I know this, Emilio.
Put it on the ticket.
When college football dropped in July, you did not want to face Jalen Milroe.
You did not want to play against Alabama. No, sir. No, it was a cheat code. And it's not like the dude can't throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like, I know I keep saying he's an elite speed and elite runner, but he can spin the rock. That's not the problem. Maybe we need to maybe it's, pre-snap, post-snap, accuracy, attention, all those things. But like Jacob's saying, that's why they get paid. I mean, you got a quarterback coach for a reason. You got a teaching coach for a reason. He's in college going through school. Maybe he's not working on his footwork every single second of the day. Once he gets drafted by a team, that's all he's going to be worried about, right? Get him on the band, get him around the cones, do what Jordan, that video we watched of Jordan Love the other day, drop back, get on the run, throwing it, just practice repetitions. He could be good, man. He really could.
Yeah, Jake Shavink says Milroe's game against Georgia was probably the best game of any quarterback prospect last season. He went on to say Milroe throws the deep ball so well. He really does. He throws the deep ball better than the shallow cross. Like it's amazing. Wonder what team has two guys who win vertically very well. Whispers, Pittsburgh. There you go. Could you imagine Jalen Milroe at quarterback? Now imagine this. Let me paint you a picture here, boys. DK Metcalf on one side, George Pickens on the other. Aaron Rodgers is your starter. Jalen Milroe gets to sit a year behind Aaron Rodgers and learn how to play.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bad idea, doesn't it?
I think you're almost selling him a little short too, Clayton. He has a 78.3 passing grade. The deep grade obviously shines. It's a 93.1. No pressure grade at 88.7. But the intermediate grade is a 90.7. Sorry.
Intermediate, you said. What's his short? Does it show a short there?
It does not show a short at the one I'm looking at right here. But I mean, he's definitely graded out very well too against in big games like Jake was talking about. I mean, guys, and that's 2 years in a row of having solid 13 games in a season, grading out 88.7 in 23 and then 87.4 this last year. So
right. And for a guy that's running the ball that much, consistently out there through pain, whatever.
Yep.
For Alabama, it's not like he's playing against, they're not playing against scrubs. So he's battle tested at least. I think you can definitely take a chance on that talent.
Yeah.
The big thing about Milroe too, I'll just say this: any interview you've seen him in, this dude, you want him on your football team.
Right.
Like, remove the on the field play. He's everything. To see him wait for his teammates even when they're losing in the tunnel going into halftime, waiting for his teammates. He's the last one in, giving everybody. It's just the post game interviews. Nick Saban absolutely loved that kid. Again, I want to see him do good. I want to see him succeed at the NFL level for sure. Tell you somebody else I want to see succeed. You guys see this video right here of our boy Nate Hobbs working out earlier today? Check this out. I'm gonna mute it because it's just a lot of all those videos. Sounds like one of the old Japanese karate films. You know what I mean? Here, let's crank it. You guys tell me if you hear the same thing. Here we go. Here's Nate Hobbs. We'll mute it here in a minute because I want you to focus on the footwork here in a second.
Knock him on. Yep. Good. Get you one.
Ooh.
Knock him on. 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 Knock him. Good eyes now. Oh, yo. Knock him on. Eyes. Knock him on. Knock him. Yes.
Right, let's mute it. It's distracting. Look at the feet. Look at the feet, boys.
I like the footwork, man.
Yeah, no, dude. And shout out to Bobby the Alien. Hopefully, he's not really an alien, but Bobby the Alien at OP Tick Composure for tweeting this out. I think he got it off his Instagram, off of our boy Nate Hobbs' Instagram. But the footwork looks good, boys. Looks really good.
It looks
he's got
good.
that one. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, I was just gonna say. I'm pretty sure I know what you're gonna say. That he has that he seems like he's never out of position and he's good at the stab arm.
That's like literally where I was going with it. I don't know who I saw it on. I want to say it was Coach Haddad. I'm pretty sure he put up a clip of like that best preparation like for a corner. If you're throwing that left arm, you can't have both feet stationary. You got to be able to stab and jab, and you can't throw two hands out or else you're completely out of position, right? So keep him at bay, throwing that one punch arm, inside arm. But he's able to. I love how he's able to get back and forth. He's in a phone booth right now. And able to handle it. Turn on the routes, little whip route there. But the quick punch, either hand, left, right. I like that he's able to go, both sides.
Yeah, Coach Lynn said he reminds me of Sullivan in size, and I love Fred McFarley here. He said, "Coach Lynn, thoughts? Let us know what you think here, Coach. You know what to look for here in technique. Obviously, having a background working with wide receivers and DBs, to me, it looks. I mean, the feet and like somebody said on grass, like." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't see one slip. Look at the balance.
Is he wearing cleats? I don't think he's wearing cleats. Is he?
That's what I was wondering too. I couldn't really tell.
Just wearing Nike flats.
That's kind of what it looks like. Maybe he's got a little.
That'd be even more impressive, honestly. Because if you have that kind of balancing control, you're not getting over your skis. That's.
Yeah, 2-0 for this. What's a phone booth? I'm too young. I thought you were 2-0.
Tell you what.
I smell a fraud. All right, so a little Nate Hobbs talk for y'all there. Thought that was pretty cool. Let's move on to the other topic, and we'll get ready to wrap up. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, everybody's still awaiting his decision on whether he's going to play for the Vikings, the Steelers, the Giants, whoever it's going to be. I thought this was cool. ML Football tweeted out, just in legendary NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers was named Philanthropist of the Year in California. Aaron has donated millions of dollars to aid wildfire recovery. Quote, "I'm just trying to do my best to help out. I've been really blessed in this life, and my goal is just to give back." So I thought that was pretty cool. He getting kind of respected around the league for that. He's always been one of those dudes that hasn't talked about what he's done, and people would bring it up. Family members would bring it up. If you guys don't know why he had a falling out with his brother Jordan, go look that up, and I think you go, yeah, I understand why he's pissed now. Makes sense. But he's a good dude. I know the fallout there with some of the fans at the end was ugly. But here is the latest on Aaron. Tom Pelissero said the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as their quarterback, sources say. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason at QB1. So you see that and go, that's it, right? Okay, cool. Aaron's not going to Minnesota. Then I think Diana Rossini actually tweeted, and let's just take a look here and see if there's anything on this one, said the Vikings have strongly considered and will continue to monitor Aaron Rodgers as an option, but they're not ready to commit at this point in the offseason per sources. They understand this could lead to him signing elsewhere or retiring. J.J. McCarthy's spring will be key. So what's your all's take? To me, it feels like Aaron's not going to Minnesota. I think that's good news as a Packer fan.
I think he still could be playing a little weird long game. I still think it's more likely that he's going Pittsburgh. I think there's a better chance he goes to Minnesota than New York.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's where I was getting to too until this stuff came out. But maybe I'm reading too much into this, But I'm sorry.
No, I think it's always about Lions season. Are you going to take what they're saying as true? I think that. Vikings is a possibility, but like Jacob was saying, that would just be the worst outcome. I really would rather him go to Pittsburgh, or the Giants. It's just that front office is kind of in shambles, man. So
it's dumpster fire.
If they're going to be up there saying, I'm going to not sleep at night if Saquon runs all over us, and then Saquon proceeds to run all over them and the rest of the league, you guys blew it for us. So Yeah, I just want to see him spin it one more time, right? Let's have one good last year, spin it, do whatever you can, hang him up, and come back and hang the jersey.
I was just going to say, Emilio, imagine actually being able to support Rodgers, being in the AFC, playing with an old coach that he respects, that probably maybe is on the last of his legacy. If he could go out there with a couple guys that are absolute deep ball studs, maybe a revamped running game with a good defense for once, that to me, I'd like to sit there and not have it affect me. And if we go to the freaking, imagine the worst case scenario is that you get a Packers-Steelers rematch where Aaron Rodgers is now playing for the Steelers. I mean, can you write a better story than that?
That would be crazy.
Versus the opposite script where he follows Brett Favre, kind of lulling, into the back 40 of his career / life, and he goes there for maybe 1 year. We have to play him. It's ugly. It's dramatic. There's a bunch of drama. I would much rather read the Choose Your Own Adventure novel that I listed.
Exactly, because you would think Rodgers is a guy. He's like, I mean, do you think he really wants to follow the exact footsteps of Brett? I mean, he doesn't want the same exact legacy down to the T. That's not. I mean, I don't see Rodgers as that kind of dude. I love your idea. Let's get him with Tomlin. How much longer is Tomlin going to be coaching? Is he going to want to build up a brand new quarterback again? Does he got another 3, 4, 5 years to coach up the Steelers and, always have a winning record and all those things? Yeah, I would take a chance on a veteran that, you have respect for.
No. Yeah, all great points. I know this, man. If he signs with Pittsburgh and they end up playing the Packers in the Super Bowl for that rematch, my brother being a big Steelers fan his whole life, I think I might have to take the iPad over to the memorial and just hang out with old Bub and watch that game.
That would be –
because that's because he really liked Aaron Rodgers a lot too. He was like, man, I really like that quarterback of y'all's. You know what he said too? It's funny too. Brett, friend of the show, obviously, love Brett Favre, but he was like, oh, Brett got too big for his britches, didn't he? I like this young kid Rodgers. Now everybody's going, Aaron got too big for his britches. Right. Funny how that works. So, all right, last topic. We got about 3 or 4 minutes. We may go over just a couple. You guys remember we talked about the off the field issues or the rumors around James Pierce Jr. I think we would all agree there was nothing there, right? They said that he was a little intense, I guess, seemed a little angry on the football field, and he got caught driving without a license, whoop-de-doo. So that seemed to be the main thing around the James Pierce Jr. stuff. That and rumors that he might not be a team player. We know it's Lions season. But the other one is Mike Green, and they seem like a lot more serious allegations. Now, the reason we're talking about this, we're not trying to spread gossip. This is a part of the draft evaluation. We've got him in the 18 spot. There's a legit shot he could be on the board when the Packers pick at 23. So let's see if we can prepare ourselves and come away with a decision tonight to go, hey, would we be willing to draft Mike Green? Okay, so we went to Grok on this one and asked, hey, give me a breakdown on the timeline, right, and the allegations. Here's what it says. Below is a detailed report on Mike Green's character concerns as he enters the 2025 NFL Draft. Green, a standout edge rusher from Marshall University, has emerged as one of the top prospects in his class after leaving the FBS with 17 sacks in the 2024 college football season. However, his rise to prominence has been accompanied by off-the-field questions stemming from 2 separate sexual assault allegations, one from high school and another tied to his departure from the University of Virginia in 2022. This report compiles available information from reputable sources, evaluates its implications for his draft stock, and considers how NFL teams might approach these concerns. So, first allegation, all right, and this is the timeline and everything. High school allegation details Mike Green, originally from Williamsburg, Virginia, faced a sexual assault accusation during his time at Lafayette High School prior to enrolling at the University of Virginia in 2021. Specific details about the incident, such as the date or circumstances, remain limited in public reporting. Green has stated that an investigation took place and that he was cleared of wrongdoing. Green's response at the NFL Scouting Combine on February 26, 2025, Green addressed this allegation, asserting that it was investigated and resolved in his favor. He emphasized that he has no issue discussing it with NFL teams, framing it as a non-issue in his mind because he knows who he is and he knows the truth. So evidently cleared of all wrongdoing, according to this, right? I see Emilio grinning, so tell him what's he seen in the chat. But let's keep it moving here. Here is the University of Virginia allegation and departure. It says, in August of 2022, while Green was a redshirt freshman at Virginia, an anonymous report of sexual assault was made against him, according to the Charlottesville Police Department. They were notified on August 29th, 2022 of an alleged incident that occurred 3 days earlier on West Main Street in Charlottesville. No injuries, damaged property, or stolen goods were reported, and further details about the investigation's outcome remain unclear in public records. Green was suspended from the Virginia football team shortly after, with head coach Tony Elliott stating in September 2022 that Green was, quote, no longer active with the program. Green subsequently transferred to Marshall University ahead of 2023 season. And it says context of Virginia. Green noted that he had signed a zero tolerance policy with Virginia due to the earlier high school allegation, which may have heightened the university's response to the anonymous report. He claimed he was not formally questioned by authorities about the incident and that he chose to leave Virginia for a fresh start rather than fight to stay, despite believing he could have remained if he wanted to. Green's response during the Combine press conference, Green denied the allegation. I've done nothing wrong. He described the situation as frustrating, particularly because he feels portrayed as, quote, somebody that he's not, but maintained confidence that it wouldn't derail him, his draft prospects. What's y'all's take on it? Because, I mean, there is literally zero evidence, right? Zero anything. There you go, Jake Shavink. Apparently NFL teams have the private reports of both. So there you go. We'll know right there, right? They're private reports. They haven't been out in the public. If a team takes him early, then we know there was nothing to the reports, right? There may be something in those private reports that they go, holy cow, we're not touching this dude. What do y'all think, man? What's your thoughts on what we uncovered here?
I'm a little torn because part of me wants to keep the absolute respect that I believe that the Packers organization has completely kind of been on the straight and narrow, just being a high character type of city, a type of organization, making sure that guys that are being brought into the community deserve to be pillars in that community and not take that opportunity for granted. On the other side, I look back at players like Brenton Cox Jr., who literally was at one point a first round standout that could have been drafted and then all of a sudden falls completely out of all 7 rounds and ends up being a UDFA and has to basically take his career, pull it up from the absolute garbage heap and say, hey, take a chance on me. I'm willing to be a UDFA. I'm willing to grind and make my way. And now look, he's our backup, either right or left edge. So I have opposing views. If I had my druthers, I would probably side towards trying to find somebody else at 23 that maybe is a little more polished and a little more less of a risk.
Yeah. And really what it comes down to, Emilio, is like what Jacob's talking about. If you've got 2 edge defenders, similar grade, one's got these hanging over his head and the other doesn't, that's how a guy ends up falling, right?
Yep, that's a cluster buster. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like a red outline around the name or something, just to give us an idea. The kid, who was it last year? They had the whole draft board up on the screen somehow. They panned over to it, and you saw guys with red on their names, and those are the guys that we had questions about last year. So the NFL teams know that. They know what they're getting into. I think that it would have been nice if there was, maybe not a face, but at least somebody behind the allegations. I think that's, it's kind of tough when you're fighting nothing, but if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. Right. Let him play football and move on. Because once you get past this point, once you get past the draft and everything like that, he's on the team. It's going to be little to, talked about little to none after that. 1 year in, you're never going to hear about it again. So it would then if it turns out well, you get these reports, he turns out that nothing happened and he goes and crushes it in the NFL, then he'd be used as the example. Hey, some of these reports are X, Y, and Z, and Green came out on the other end of it.
Yeah. And I'm going to be really clear here. If it's true, he needs to be flipping burgers the rest of his life. He don't need to be able to step into a game and make millions of dollars if that's true. But that's the tough part, is like not knowing what's true and what isn't, right? Because the last thing you want to do is not believe a victim. Like that's how more victims come about. Right. It's because I'm not going there. When people come out, right, and they speak against an athlete, and then a bunch of fans and a bunch of whoever attack them you step back and go, damn, this wasn't worth it. I've got to relive this every day of my life now because I'm getting criticized that I was lying about this. And that's how they stay behind the scenes and not speak up. So it's a terrible thing if it's true, but at the same time, hopefully the teams will do enough due diligence that what I want to see happen is he'll make it to the league and we have 110% certainty that all those allegations were false. That's the perfect scenario. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it doesn't always end like that, right? So, yeah, as Carly says here, as a survivor of sexual assault who fought it and it became public, I hate this sort of thing, but I also understand why it may have been, quote, anonymous. The press totally smears you for money. It's a great point. Great point. And that sucks. Known several people to deal with that type of thing. And it's a sad situation altogether. But again, hopefully they get to the truth. And here's the conclusion on it. Mike Green enters the 2025 NFL draft as a polarizing figure. His character concerns stem from 2 sexual assault allegations, high school cleared per Green, and Virginia anonymous unresolved publicly. When he denies vehemently, as of March 19, 2025, these issues haven't derailed his status as a likely day 1 or early day 2 pick. Let's see, on-field performance and a proactive stance at the combine. However, his draft fate hinges on how individual teams weigh the incomplete off-field picture against the undeniable potential as a quarterback disruptor. For now, Green's story is one of talent tempered by uncertainty, with the next month of team interviews likely to clarify his landing spots. So there you go. Anything else you guys want to add to this here with Mike Green? And I got to ask you, we got to do this. Do we want to put a purple mark on his grade? That way we know, hey, there's something there. And then just a quick reminder, oh, that's right. Yeah, he's got the legal stuff. Or do you think
that's up to you, Jacob?
I think purple is a good mark because it reminds us of Vikings, and Vikings draft convicts and terrible players. I'm just saying, it makes sense to me. I think it is at least worth noting because then you may understand when you look at it after the fact that, like, hey, like to Clayton's point, there clearly must have been something in those reports that they obtained that made them think, we maybe need to cool it on this guy. That's my opinion. What do you think, Emilio?
I'm thinking Clay can't figure out what color purple is. He's got blue on the board.
You see
He's struggling over here. He's changing.
I was like, that's not really purple. That's magenta. Let's take that.
But yeah, no, I think you got to at least mention it. I think we were able to, you guys, I mean, I wasn't here. You were able to kind of debunk the James Pierce, right? So that you were kind of able to get more of a definitive answer on. We don't need to track that, but this still up in the air. And I think you just need to kind of remember that it's there.
I will say one thing, that as much as we always want to protect people that have allegations and victims and all that, I do think that there should be an equal, if not just as drastic punishment towards people that make false allegations, because
absolutely.
with one accusation, you could absolutely ruin somebody's whole life, their career, their family. Hey, you know what? J. Cole just said right here. He says, I have my thoughts on the situation. I had a friend who was accused of this and the allegations were false. He lost his job. His wife left him. Not saying we should ignore the allegations. It's such a weird line that we have to try to walk. It is why that I believe that the lying season has to find a point where it's like, you better have some evidence. Yeah, you better have some evidence, or else you're at the point where you're actually ruining people's lives. So be real careful with that information.
Definitely. All right, boys, we went over. Surprise, surprise, right? We wrapped up about 30 minutes ago, like a Baptist priest.
Right.
So that's the way it works. You guys got anything else before we get out of here, man?
Nah.
Nothing. No.
All right. This is fun, man. I appreciate y'all hopping on with me. I feel like we covered a lot. And again, guys, thank y'all for the great feedback on the Patreon group. Really, really enjoy communicating with you guys in there and continuing to build that out so we can give you the best experience possible here with PTA. So with that being said, we'll see y'all tonight.
Like, sub,
share.
Got to do it. Got to do it. Hit like for us, guys. Hit sub. If everybody who watched this video hit like, oh my gosh, because I think we had 10,000 new viewers last month. And
awesome.
We didn't have
in the off season, just crawling into the draft. Draft hasn't even happened.
Understand that wasn't 10,000 new views. That was
Right.
10,000 people that had never watched the show before that watched the show, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, thank you, Red Mo.
I appreciate everyone. That's how we got here, right? Everyone in the chat.
Yeah, I think
Everyone
we're up
listening to the
to
pod.
anybody who's followed us too. We cracked 1 million views pretty quick, but we had to delete a bunch of content because YouTube wouldn't tell me what was copyright and what wasn't. So we're like, so do I need to scrap everything? They said, yeah. So we just scrapped everything. And now we're officially up to like 1.6 million or something again. So
that's awesome. I remember
that was so frustrating.
Dropped us back down to like 300,000 views. I'm like, we just passed 1 million 3 days ago. What happened?
Yeah.
They hate us because they ain't us.
Exactly.
That's what they say in the streets. Is that right?
That's what Jacob always says.
That's what we say in the holler, Jake. That's that holler cred right there. You got street cred up there. We got holler cred down here. All right, that's it. Bye.
And we go. Bye, guys.